Identity crisis. It's no secret that the Democratic Party is currently facing major internal issues, a struggle between the centrist wing of the party and the extremely vocal far-left progressive wing. Their struggle.
There is no extremely progressive far-left wing. There's no far-left wing. Bernie Sanders is probably the most, quote-unquote, radical left and honest person they have in the Democratic Party. So closest to his rhetoric. And when you look at all things in context, you consider all the facts of the matter, you put a lower weight on the rhetoric and a higher weight on the actions, you can recognize that Bernie Sanders is almost, but not quite, a centrist by his actions. His rhetoric is radical, sure talks a good game. When it comes to what he actually does, just like Cori Bush and AOC, not radical at all, not even remotely. Remember, Biden and these progressives ran on $15 minimum wage. If we made the same amount of money that we made decades ago for minimum wage, we would be making $20+ an hour. So $15 an hour was a milk toast, not even remotely radical. That should be something in a country not as corrupt as it is, that people like Pelosi seriously should be pushing for. And even the Republicans, right? The more establishment Republicans, in a country that's not so corrupt, $15 minimum wage is the kind of milquetoast BS, right? Because again, people used to make a lot more money, right? You have to consider inflation, right? So $15 minimum wage, that's a joke. And that is what the Republicans are. They're too much taxes and we don't do anything too radical. Oh, the budget, right? That's their whole deal, right? So that means $15 minimum wage, they should be on board with that. But no, we're a tribal nation. It's us versus them. If they say they're for something, we got to be against it. Even if they're not really for the thing they claim they're for, like $15 minimum wage, which they don't even talk about. That is how disingenuous this talk about this centrist, right, desire to increase minimum wage to $15 an hour. It's not radical. So they pretend to have this centrist idea, but in reality, they don't even discuss it, right? Once they get in power, they don't even discuss it. So they're not even serious about the milquetoast thing. What do? They do things that Republicans like. AOC and her squad voted for more money for the police. They voted to keep Nancy Pelosi in power. Nancy Pelosi, who serves the same elite donors as the Republican Party does. There's no radical left in power, rather.
Struggle to get anything accomplished despite holding power over all three branches of government has taken center stage over the last couple of months, and stemming from polar opposite views within the Democratic Party on the direction of Biden's infrastructure package. Government has taken center stage over all three branches of government. Holding power over all three branches of government has taken center stage over the last couple of months. Government has taken center stage. Three branches of government has nothing accomplished despite holding power over all three branches of government has taken center stage.
So this is a major right-wing channel that is talking like a YouTuber, talking about the Democrats are controlling all three branches of government. So is he trying to say that the judicial branch, with all those Trump judges, is controlled by the Democrats? Or is he too stupid to realize that the houses of Congress are not branches of government? Does he think that the House, the Senate, and the executive branch, these are the three branches of government? This is the news, major news network. This is what conservatives are being fed, right? So when you talk to a conservative who's watching stuff like this, watching Crowder and Shapiro and all these people spinning things, half-truths, pushing out talking points that mislead, it is from that frame that their opinions are based. There are some that will listen to this and say, it's embarrassing that he doesn't know the three branches of government, but that's a minor mistake. To those, I say this. If you're on a major news network and you don't even know the three branches of government, can I trust anything else you have to say? You're speaking about politics, and you don't even know the fundamentals of how our government is structured. Forget about the nuances and the intricacies of it. The three branches of government, this is something you learn in junior high? No
Stage over the last couple of months, and stemming from polar opposite views within the Democratic Party on the direction of Biden's infrastructure package. Unpopular leftist policies such as CRT have plunged the Democrats' approval ratings to new lows among suburban voters.
CRT is not a policy. CRT is not a policy. And it's certainly not a policy or anything of the Democratic Party. There's no one in the Democratic Party that's running on CRT, that is talking about CRT, that is pushing CRT. CRT mostly exists in the conservative echo chamber. It is, in short, political activists on the right constantly look for culture war issues to activate or motivate the base to vote for the Republican Party. Tried different things and they didn't really get much success. When they started talking about CRT, they got a huge response. A lot of people got emotional and, oh my goodness, CRT, this and that. And they were like, wow. So they doubled down. They all started talking about it. Then there was this activist group that went around pretending to be, basically fake parents on the news. Oh, my kid, this and that. All part of the same organization. A lot of fake astroturfing going on. And it's all about trying to win votes. Just like how the Democrats play with the race and, Trump is racist and the white nationalists taking over this country and this and that, blah, blah, blah. Getting power, they don't do nothing about it because it's all just to get votes. CRT is a tactic utilized by the conservatives to get votes. Now, regardless of what you think about that, again, there's no Democrat running on CRT, and there is no Democrat CRT policy. And yes, again, that does rhyme. Thank you for noticing. I appreciate that.
And resulted in massive red waves this past October in Virginia and parts.
What resulted in massive red waves is the Democrats doing nothing as they always do. A lot of Americans feel like both these parties are pretty much the same, except for the people who are really, really the super partisans who think that their side is the best side and all this kind of stuff. But normal Americans recognize that when Trump was president, they didn't see a lot of fundamental change to their lives. They heard a lot of stuff on the news. Oh, Trump, this and Donald Trump and democracy. This is a war for no. They heard a lot of that stuff, but they went to their jobs like they always did under Obama. They paid their bills like they did under Obama. They went on vacation. Whatever they were doing before Trump got elected, they were doing it. They're pretty much nothing really changed for them. There's a lot of talk and noise on the news. Now, I'm not saying that nothing fundamentally changed. Certainly things did fundamentally change and very, very serious things. But I'm talking about, again, how do people vote? How do people think? They vote and think based on their own experiences, right? So the experiences for many Americans did not really change under Trump. Certainly it did change for some, but millions and millions of Americans, it didn't really change. The biggest change was in what they were hearing on the news. So people like that also recognize that under Biden, in spite of all the stuff that's going on, their lives have not really fundamentally changed. Even people talking about the gas prices and turkey prices. Listen, I know I'm not the one to comment about this based on my income. I'm not someone to really be too concerned about gas prices and how much a 10, 20-pound turkey costs. But even, let's go back in time. Let's say I was only making $50,000 a year, $60,000 a year. If I was making that money, just certainly not rich, certainly not poor necessarily, depends on where you live, I don't think I would still be worried about the price of gas. I mean, yeah, I might think, oh, wow, it's an extra $10 to fill up or whatever it is. But it's not going to change my lifestyle. It's not going to stop me from doing anything I need to do. I mean, it's just kind of like, we've seen prices fluctuate before. Right? The main people that this stuff is going to hurt are going to be people mostly at the very bottom. You're very poor. You're barely able to pay your bills as is. Any increase in your bills is like, wow. Right? But I think a lot of the people who are voting don't really fall into that category. Right? The voters, I don't think, are really being affected that much by all this stuff. Even the stuff they talk about the supply chain. I made a video about it, and I do recognize there are some issues like buying hardware. Even now, we are about to hit December, and I still have not really seen anything. I go on Amazon, and the delivery times are like 2-3 days, right? So again, the biggest change is what we see on the news. And again, I want to clarify. I do recognize there are certain things that are in fact an issue. For example, buying a car, a regular new car, you could wait 6 months, right? But if you're not buying a new car, what the hell do you care about that? Right? So millions of Americans recognize that there isn't a big change between both parties. However, the Democrats in 2020 ran on all this progressive stuff. They're going to do this, they're going to do that. And they're like, yeah, this is great, this is great. They should increase minimum wage. You know, these people will need to earn a livable wage. And they're like, yeah, okay, I can get on board with that. Then they get in power and they do nothing. They don't even try. It's not even matter they try and fail. They don't even try. They don't even talk about Medicare for all or minimum wage anymore. Right? So they're showing themselves for what they are, a bunch of fake frauds. Meanwhile, it'd be one thing if they were just fake frauds, if that's all they did. But meanwhile, they are actually doing and pushing some things, and it's not CRT. They are doing some things that people have a problem with, and they would gladly get rid of the Democrats to get away from this stuff. Vaccine mandates, for example, right? People losing their jobs because they don't want to take a vaccine, even though we are a highly vaccinated nation, especially the high-risk people. People are sick and tired of this, and they're seeing that the Democrats won't stop. It's like they just want to be in perpetual lockdown and restriction, and it's insanity. And people are sick and tired of it. It's not just people on the right either. The centrists are not getting frustrated. People on the left are getting frustrated. A lot of America are sick and tired of this path that the Democrats are on, especially because it's not resulting in results that take us to normalcy. That is what they ran on. That's what the promise was. We get this crazy Trump out of the office and we get back to normalcy. But instead, we see cases are spiking. We're still talking about lockdown. Now they want to do forced vaccination on the children. Now they want to do vaccinations on toddlers. People are sick and tired of it. Right? Schools were locked down for a long time. Parents were complaining about it. They get dismissed by the Democrats. That is why the Democrats are losing. Not based on CRT, right? They're losing because American people are sick and tired of the bullshit. They know that the Republican Party is not really much different, but there's one specific thing that is different, and it's something that they support, which is we want to get away from these lockdowns and restrictions. People want to return to normal. They're sick and tired of this pandemic. And that's not the only thing. That's not the only issue. I think it's also the insanity that we see from the Democratic Party. Now, the Republican Party certainly is insane as well, but the insanity that's affecting more people's lives right now is the Democrats, not the Republicans, right? Gosar with his bullshit video, which he should never have done, right? How is that affecting the lives of Americans? And I'm not trying to belittle it and say, it was okay to do that or whatever, but my point is, how is it affecting the lives of the voters? Not much. How are vaccine mandates where people are getting fired from their jobs, how is that affecting people's lives?
Of New Jersey. And joining me now to break down the Democrats' internal struggle and how it will impact them at the polls looking ahead to the 2022 midterms is Newsmax senior political analyst and former Republican Senator of Pennsylvania, Rick Santorum. Rick, thank you for joining us on The Count tonight.
Thank you, Logan. Good to be with you.
Now, the big news this week was there were 5 centrist Democrat senators that are sinking Sully Omarova's nomination to be the top banking regulator. They are John Tester, John Hickenlooper, Mark Kelly, Kirsten Sinema, and the other one in that equation right now is John Tester. We've heard a lot about Senator Joe Manchin and his impact on getting things done in the Senate. And as a former senator, what do you think of this move this week from those senators kind of putting their feet in the sand and saying we are not going to let her be in charge of regulating our banks?
Well, it's a smart move on their part. Several of those senators are up for re-election, and in tough states for them to win, in what looks like to be a Republican wave election coming up in 2022. So I think they're just they're.
That is absolutely 100% correct. A red wave is coming, and it's going to be devastating. You think 2016 was something? Wait until you see what's coming up next. Left-wing media is determined to put Donald Trump back in office, so they can make those views and money.
They're sort of covering their backside. That's really all that's going on here. What the fundamental problem is the Democratic Party is now controlled by the progressive wing. I mean, that Joe Biden ceded control to them, even though he campaigned.
The Democratic Party is controlled by the progressive wing. They just put together a bill that consisted of the things that the progressive wing ran on. It's supposedly the most important things to them. And these same progressives gutted the bill down, so it's exactly what Joe Manchin wants. Joe Manchin represents the corporate Democrats like Nancy Pelosi and Joe Biden. How are they controlling the party when they do exactly what the establishment wants them to do? They vote for more bombs, they vote for more police, right? Defund the police? No. The progressives voted for more money for police. The progressives say fund the police. They say, Pelosi, we want more of it. We love it. How is that controlling the Democratic Party? Do you realize that when AOC was actually seeming to be a progressive for real, and Nancy Pelosi came after her, Nancy Pelosi sat down, her and the rest of them, told them to get rid of certain people that are part of their staff that she didn't like, basically told them to shut their mouths and go away, and then what was the end result? They stopped fighting Pelosi. Pelosi stopped fighting them. Now they just do exactly what she wants. But this guy is sitting here feeding to conservatives that the party is being controlled by the progressives who aren't really progressives but more centrists. They're just progressive by rhetoric. So this guy is helping push the lies of the fraud squad, pretending like they are actually what they claim to be, and even worse than that, claiming that they're extremely successful. So much so that they are controlling the Democratic Party. This is the information that's being fed to conservatives. So when you talk to a conservative who's watching stuff like this, and you have conversations and you're butting heads, this is why. This is the kind of garbage that they're watching that's leading them to think the way they think. They have no idea of the reality of what the Democratic Party is all about. Just like people on the left don't really have any idea about what conservatives are all about, because they watch in TYT talking about, oh, wait, racist, that's all they know. Racists and Nazis. Both sides really ignorant of the other side, because they're watching media that just tells them all you need to know about the other side is they're evil, they're destroying this country, and they need to be stopped. Go vote for a corrupt political party that I work for. They're going to save you.
As a moderate campaign, as someone who was to unite the country, he ceded control of his agenda to the radical left. And that's what's called
Joe Biden's agenda, right, is the things that the progressives removed from the bill, because that's what the corporate Democrats wanted. This guy is he's just literally talking in like backwards. Black is white, white is black, up is down, down is up. Wow. Biden's agenda that he ran on is the progressive agenda that he stole to pretend like he supports this progressive stuff, which he knows is popular and would help him win, right? So how can you say he's abandoning the progressive agenda for the progressives? What?
Caused this breakdown of the Democratic brand. That's not who they elected. They didn't elect the radical left. They elected a moderate Joe Biden. They rejected Bernie Sanders.
There is no radical left in our government. Certainly not Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders is not radical in any way, shape, or form. He may say some radical things, but what he does is centrist, moderate, with a touch, just a little semi-radical flair. But the substance of it is centrist. In any other country, Bernie Sanders would be a centrist, possibly a moderate right-winger by his actions.
But they got Bernie Sanders instead of Joe Biden.
Now, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, his policies have evolved to become more progressive. Do you think that is the influence of Nancy Pelosi, or do you think that Schumer and Pelosi right now are being so pressured by the squad and these progressives and Bernie Sanders that they're kind of backed into a corner and going along with them?
They're backed in a corner and going along with the progressives have gotten nothing. They have gotten nothing. We ended up with a Joe Manchin bill, a corporate Democrat bill. And this guy would have you believe that the progressives are winning bigly.
Yeah, I mean, it's true in both parties that the base is who motivates both donations and voters to come out. And the Democratic Party now is controlled by the base, which is the progressive wing. It has exploded over the last decade.
The Democratic Party is being controlled. I can't even watch any more of this, guys. This is just 100% bullshit. Man, I can't even talk right now. This is the Debate Me channel. Debate me in the comment section below. Click on the like button, subscribe, smash the bell. What a load of horse shit.